Hey everybody, welcome to our Killzone Shadowfall review. I'm Ryan Teljanik, and I've played through the game.
And I'm Hollander Cooper, and I have not. So I have some questions about it for you.
Absolutely.
First things first, it's a PS4 launch title. Killzone's known for being pretty. Is Killzone Shadowfall the prettiest game ever?
Prettiest game you'll have seen on consoles? Absolutely. No, it's an absolutely fantastic game, and and seeing it look just this good at the beginning of launch, it's got me really excited to see what games on the PS4 and potentially Xbox One will look like years down the road. But yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous, both in single player and multiplayer.
So speaking of the single player, is the story actually worth caring about this time around?
All right, spoiler alert for those who haven't played Killzone 3. This is like 30 years later, and the Helghast planet has basically been nuked into oblivion. There's like nothing left there, and so now all the Helghast. What's that?
I said good.
All the Helghast are now living on the planet of the same planet of the people who nuked them. So you can imagine that that's not a terribly exciting place to be. The story does a really, really good job of building up the tension that the two sides are feeling, and there's kind of like this Cold War sense of neither side is really engaging in all-out war against the other, but it's still like a lot of espionage kind of stuff going on. And you're playing as Lucas Kellen, a Shadow Marshal, so you're doing a lot of espionage stuff on their side of the wall. There's this giant, huge wall separating the Helghast from the Vectans.
And is it executed well? Is there any surprises in it?
I would say there are a couple surprises that I can't really talk about, obviously for at risk of spoiling them. But I would say the story is what it does really good is creating like a really good sense of tension, and especially when you're in the Helghast territory and you see some of just its everyday citizens trying to survive. There's a lot of really cool, strong moments there where you get a good sense that they're not doing so well.
All right, and so what makes it different from other shooters?
I'd say one of the things that really impressed me about Killzone Shadowfall is a lot of its levels are very open, almost like Far Cry 3. It reminded me, where you can kind of walk around, and it's kind of up to you when enemy soldiers start firing back at you, because what you have a couple of items at your disposal. The echo system, which kind of shoots out this little sonar thing, and it marks enemies. So if you're on the other side of the wall and you're not sure who might be standing on the other side, use your little sonar, and then you can see them through the wall, and that way you can kind of strategize your approach to each encounter. And you also have this thing called the Owl. It's a little drone that flies around, and you can use it to like stun enemies or put up a shield around yourself, or even just shoot at the enemies. So it's kind of cool because all those things combined really allow you to strategize how you want to do it. Pretty much anything. I would say though that I wished more of the levels were as open as some of the first few, because eventually they kind of start to get a little bit more linear, and it starts to feel like a little bit of a corridor shooter at times. But all in all, it's a really fun game.
Awesome. And how is the gunplay? The past Killzone games have really had a weighty feel to them. Like they were one of the first big games to do first-person cover systems, trying to really make you feel like you were grounded in the game. Does this one continue that?
Yeah, it does. I'd say this was probably my favorite in terms of the actual controls, just because to me some of the specifically I think Killzone 2 felt a little too weighty. Like it almost felt like a little bit laggy to me in the way that that your gun would swing from side to side when you're trying to move around. This one feels really good. And it never feels like any sense of lag at all. But also, the animations do and continue to do an amazing job of making you feel like you're really, in the boots of this soldier. Because as you're climbing ladders, you see your hands, you can look down and see your legs moving, and all these kinds of things. And you much like in Battlefield, you'll vault over things or pull yourself up, and all that kind of stuff was really neat.
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds more Battlefield than Call of Duty for people who haven't played Killzone games.
Yeah.
So multiplayer, speaking of Battlefield and Call of Duty, is the multiplayer good enough to pull people away from those two games? I
would say it's not going to pull anybody away from either, but if you're eager to play some multiplayer in your next gen system, you're gonna have a lot of fun with it. It's pretty standard. It feels a lot more like Killzone 3's multiplayer than 2, in that its main draw is this the Warzone mode, which constantly rotates objectives while you're playing.
I love that mode.
Yeah,
it's such a cool idea.
Super fun, and like I said, the gunplay is great, and you only have 3 classes this time around. I think it's like Assault, Support, and Infiltrator, I believe, but each one has its own special equipment and abilities. And then the really cool thing that they did in Shadowfall is they have kind of like custom war zones, so you can make your own modes, which create some really interesting versions of these things that you can play and share with your friends. So for instance, you can choose, I played a custom mode where everybody only had a sniper rifle and cloaks, so you would run around, and it was one-shot kill, and you only had one life. So that was like really, really tense mode.
Sounds
compared
awesome.
to, yeah. Although I do wish that there were a few more granular variables that you could tweak in that, and when you're making your own. For example, I wanted to make a mode in which, it'd be one person with a pistol versus everybody else with knives. Like, that's something I really thought would be a fun mode to play in this. In Shadowfall, but it's like you can't get that granular when you're messing with the settings.
Yeah, it feels almost like if they weren't going to reinvent the multiplayer and they were gonna work on customization, they should have just taken that a little further.
Yeah, because really what it is it's just allows you to select, everybody's health pools and which weapons each side has access to, and which abilities each side has access to. It would have been cool to see a little bit more of in-depth tweaking.
Awesome. So what'd you end up scoring it?
We gave Killzone Shadowfall a 4 out of 5. It's a really, really fun first-person shooter. It looks great. The story is at least interesting enough to keep you going through, and the multiplayer is really fun, so be sure to check it out and read our full review on GamesRadar.com.